These guys, Metsa and Mognus, almost inseparable. Obviously, this past season, they're going their separate ways in terms of an org, but still showing up here in force. This is going to be a spectacular, world-class series of Rocket League.
All right, well, let's get this game started then. I'm excited. Jorby, JamesBot, take it away.
So G2 and Complexity, finally, we are getting it underway. We get to see this matchup firsthand in the first round of the Universal Open. The kickoff starts with a bang. GarrettG gonna throw it over towards the orange half of the field, and G2 gonna look to try to take control early. JKnaps off the ceiling. You see something maybe squishy like we saw in the last series, but it gets quickly turned away. Mognus trying to find a touch, doesn't get it. GarrettG able to throw it away, but Complexity turns things around. JKnaps challenged in midfield. Mognus gonna chase it. GarrettG waiting in the corner, and Mognus has it past him, but JKnaps able to get there, able to get that clear, but right now, Complexity starting to get a continued assault here in the blue half.
That was a good touch, though, by Garrett, relieving pressure. It also allows JKnaps to get that mid boost. So just a little bit of feelers coming out from both teams. This is their first match on stage, so we'll see how they respond.
Mognus gonna put it right over GarrettG. It's 1-0 Complexity. They take the lead.
And Metsa just getting in good position there, good communication. You see he lays off, Mognus calls him off that ball, takes control, and just does a little side flip flick right over the final defender. A great start for Complexity.
Quick strike for Complexity. G2 gonna look to recover off the kickoff. Mognus beaten by JKnaps, and now G2. It's GarrettG popping it up. No chance, Metsanauris. A quick tie game.
And, you know, it's just complete control of his car. He knew exactly what he was doing. Didn't even flip into this ball. Gets a small touch and drives right into it to chip it over Metsa, but also gets it right underneath the crossbar. A fantastic finesse shot from GarrettG.
Just like that. It's all about how you can respond as a team as soon as you go down. And these guys on G2, they're two of the best. Metsanauris trying to flip under the ball. Mognus end up losing to JKnaps on the challenge, looking for Garrett. And a good challenge by Metsanauris to get the ball out to the corner. JKnaps trying to get this over Mets, maybe bully him past, but cannot do it. Now GarrettG in the corner. He's going to have a go at it. Can't get there in time. And able to steal a corner boost on his way out. Complexity finally able to clear this away. Right now for G2, they've had some good control, but Metsanauris looking to throw it right back. And Mognus playing very close here, Complexity. Close towards the box and in the corners. They can't, right now, G2 cannot get it by midfield. Metsanauris, a good read. Not able to get it, not able to get a solid touch towards the net. We're still sitting 1-1 about over 2 minutes into the game.
And that was a scary moment there for JKnaps. He didn't have much boost back. It wasn't the greatest clear from Garrett, but G2 just holding strong right now. And now a chance for JKnaps. He's going to be able to close this one out. Way to stay with it for JKnaps.
JKnaps able to just win the challenge in midfield and then reading it perfectly up the wall to give himself the advantage. G2 taking the lead here almost halfway through.
Yeah, Mognus didn't expect JKnaps to chase that ball down, and it was just a perfect pinch off the wall for JKnaps, and he just stayed right with it, earning that goal for G2.
GarrettG, a quick pot shot towards the net, gets knocked away, and now Mets to Mognus. Mognus try to get back to himself. And G2 able to clear it downfield. Up high, GarrettG looking for the touch. He actually wins this challenge, forcing Metsanauris up to clear it out to the corner. Keeps G2 on the assault. Garrett looking for the shot, challenged and saved by Mognus. JKnaps, then he's gonna have a go off the ceiling. There's shades of GarrettG right there coming off the corner of the ceiling, but not able to connect, challenged and knocked away for G2. Garrett gonna take point here. JKnaps in support. Garrett just trying to cause havoc in the box.
And he did get those boost steals as well, so Complexity in a tough spot. Metsa with a very good clear. But Garrett just intent on keeping this ball in the orange half.
Being very aggressive, but Mets is there. Looking for Mognus, trying to challenge was JKnaps. It does go to GarrettG, clearing it downfield. Mets can't get there, it's 3-1 G2.
And that's the cumulative effect of just taking boost and pressuring players. Mognus and Metsa both in the air for that. Garrett recognized it, puts a shot right in the middle of the net. Nobody from Complexity even close to getting back in time. And an extended lead now for G2.
Goes to show you, like you said, what extended pressure, even in twos, can go. Talking to a lot of players yesterday, it can be risky going for the corner boost in twos just because there's less players on the field than you're used to. But still, they're doing it very well and keeping this pressure up well. Complexity is threatening. Mognus looking for the touch. He can't get it out to Metsanauris. G2. Well, GarrettG, is he there to back him up? A mistouch by JKnaps and good save by GarrettG, keeping this 2-goal lead for G2.
And it's going to be an open net here for GarrettG. And he earned this as well on the defensive side. He wasn't able to deny the backboard bounce, but he knew exactly where the player was going to shoot it. Garrett gets the save, and that allows his team to get on that counterattack and get the goal. I'm loving what I'm seeing from G2 right now. And also, just something to note. In twos, it is almost a death sentence if you have both players in the air at the same time. Yeah. And we saw Complexity make that mistake, and one off the crossbar there.
Just missing it.
So you just have to be so careful on not committing or not overly committing because it is so easy to punish in twos.
Mognus going to give way for Metsanauris. They have 40 seconds to get 3 goals here, but might be looking at game 2 at this point. That's a nice shot off the crossbar. Can they finish it? He goes under, they get a goal. Not exactly out of it just yet.
It's going to be a tough one. 34 seconds left, but a good follow-up from Mognus here. Metsa misread that one off the bounce, but a good cleanup. We've seen teams do it before, but it's going to be very tough.
Very tough. You got about 1 every 12 seconds. If you can get a decent kickoff, it's definitely possible, but this one going the way of G2. Mognus back to Metsanauris. Mognus going to try to put a shot on net, but it's off target, and GarrettG gets the clear.
Had he put that a little more to the right, he might have been able to beat out that final defender.
So Mognus just trying to keep it away from the box.
And that was a key boost steal from Garrett. Mognus had no boost, and GarrettG also steals the boost from Metsa, so just a savage display of boost control by Garrett.
Well, maybe get a feel-good goal here to end it. They can't do it, though. The crossbar, the worst enemy here in game 1 for Complexity, and just really a lot of early mistakes out of Complexity that gave G2 some of that early lead.
Yeah, I mean, we see shots as well. Mognus had a great game, 2 goals on 7 shots, but GarrettG, the Season 5 MVP of the RLCS, he's talked about as one of the best players in the world, really stepping up this game. G2 has been so good at just continuing to keep that possession and keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw just a lot of comfort. Even when JKnaps had a mistouch, GarrettG was in position, ready for any kind of thing that would go wrong. And it did go wrong for JKnaps, and GarrettG was still able to back him up. And things started off pretty well for Complexity with a nice little pop-up by Mognus. But after that, it was all G2. GarrettG catching Metsanauris in no man's land, nothing that he could really do about it. And it was just, an onslaught from there.
Yeah, and G2, both JKnaps and GarrettG I thought played well, but especially Garrett getting the hat trick this game, but also on defense he was fantastic. And the pressure in the corners, stealing boost from the mid, just all around what we'd expect from this team. It was great to see Garrett step up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the boost steals were very critical, and we saw this in the regionals as well. That players that played that really aggressive games, teams who tended to be aggressive. And look, we see the moms getting excited for GarrettG and JKnaps and just cheering them on. You gotta love that. The parents in Rocket League are all fantastic.
Yeah, that's GarrettG's family coming out to support. And it's great always seeing the parents come out to these events and supporting their kids. And Garrett's family especially, just extremely nice people. It's great to see his mom get out here and be able to see him perform well, at least in game number 1. We'll see if he can keep that going in game 2.
Well, game 2 is going to get underway. Complexity going to look to try to tie this series up, but it's going to be a quick kickoff goal. GarrettG, then JKnaps, 1-0 G2.
Just 3 seconds in, Garrett. It's just a little bit of randomness with kickoffs. You saw that, I believe it was Metsanauris was cheating up. He was expecting the ball to just be killed, but because it popped up in the air, JKnaps was a little bit further behind, and he was able to take advantage of it. So there's not a lot of randomness in Rocket League, but on kickoffs, it's very hard to know exactly how that ball's going to react, and fortunately for G2,
good job.
it went their way.
Garrett able to make the save off the flick. Mognus gonna spike it in, and it's 1-1. Complexity ties it.
An immediate response. Garrett tried to make the play. JKnaps had jumped previously, and yeah, he did not have a lot of boost to work with. Mognus just reads that off the corner of this ceiling, bouncing right back to him, and we're equalized.
So in game 1, it was Complexity striking first. Game 2, it was G2 and then Complexity equalizing it very quickly in the first 15 seconds of the game. Garrett here against Mognus. Now trying to get past Metsanauris. JKnaps way back, waiting for the clear, now turning on it. Metsanauris gonna flip it up. JKnaps hits it against the post and makes the save.
And those are such difficult situations when you're in those 1v1s and you have a defender with the ball on their hood, they're dribbling it. It's so easy to get psyched out in that moment, but JKnaps held strong and was able to narrowly get that save.
Ooh, JKnaps does get the touch, but it bounces up, defended by Metsanauris, and Mognus is carrying this across the field. GarrettG able to make the save. Now JKnaps on the side while waiting, just gonna take the shot towards the net. Metsanauris makes the save. He comes back again, trying to get this ball cleared out, but G2 putting on the pressure right now. GarrettG challenged by Mognus and knocked away. But again, we saw this in game 1. G2 is controlling the midfield, getting those midfield boosts and grabbing those corner boosts, putting Complexity. Look, they're not able to challenge this ball when they want. G2 has complete control. Finally, a good clear. GarrettG, he's caught on the tail. He's got to get up and make this save. Mets couldn't get there. Mognus, can he take the shot just high? And Complexity had an opportunity, weren't able to capitalize.
It seemed like Metsa was in a perfect spot to take advantage of that outlet pass from Mognus, but he was flipping. It looked like he might have not had the boost and was just trying to flip for speed and wasn't able to correct his course because he was mid-flip. So a chance gone by the wayside there for Complexity, but they're starting to come alive a little bit against this G2 defense.
JKnaps just trying to challenge here, get the ball out of the blue half. GarrettG back to JKnaps, and they work their way to midfield. Mognus, can Complexity get some offense going? There really hasn't been much of it from him in this series. A pass from JKnaps. GarrettG just fakes it out and takes it out to the side, but Complexity still clears it out.
A heads-up play from Garrett, but he still wasn't able to get it by the final defender, but still we're starting to see G2 go for a little more of these passing plays. It seemed in the past more they're just trying to beat these final defenders and force rebounds. We haven't seen a lot of center balls from G2 yet.
It was a decent play by Metsanauris, but GarrettG and JKnaps able to cover the field. And G2 find themselves in Complexity's half yet again. Metsanauris gonna try to carry it out, picked off by JKnaps. It gets cleared downfield, backed up by Mognus. Pinch right to JKnaps, who's ready for it. They can only move it ever so slightly downfield.
And a good decision there from Garrett. He had just enough boost to get to that ball if he jumped immediately to beat Mognus, and he did exactly that. Just awesome to see these guys play at this level.
Well, JKnaps in the corner was looking for something, but GarrettG there in midfield to keep the play alive. Complexity. The ball's spent about a total of 30 seconds, it feels like, in the blue half, and now JKnaps is up high, looking for that touch, but the ball too far away from him. GarrettG not able to get there. He actually got obliterated by Metsanauris, and Complexity's gonna move it downfield. Here's Mognus. Mognus missing it against GarrettG. JKnaps gets it back out to him, and G2 in control again. Here's Garrett looking for JKnaps and smartly challenged away by Metsanauris.
Yeah, Garrett was a little late on his flick there, needed to do something early, but Complexity came out and shut that down before he had a chance.
Oh, what a shot.
Forcing both defenders up.
JKnaps already made his way back to make that save. Complexity, a little bit of offense waking up here. Mognus gets a nice touch. Mets just under the ball, not gonna get there. And that's gonna be cleared downfield, and an easy goal for G2, taking the lead late in game 2.
And that was just a bad misread from Metsa here. Perhaps he thought that ball was gonna bounce off the ceiling and come down because he was very far off on that read, and that left Complexity wide open for the counterattack.
Well, now with 48 seconds to go, Complexity finds themselves down yet again. And coming down from 2-0 in the series is not something any player wants to be in. JKnaps looking to keep the pressure up. He works the defense and gets it to the box, and stealing all of the boosts in the process. Metsanauris trying to get it downfield, but Garrett Again, great pitch control by G2. Complexity just can't get any sort of juice. A demo could open things up, but they don't have control of the ball.
And Garrett's
going to throw it down 3-1, and that's going to do it for game 2.
That is a secure right here for Garrett. Even though JKnaps just got demoed, Garrett passes to himself, stays on the wall. And he only had about 19 boosts to work with at the start of that play, used up every bit of it just absolutely perfectly. And now he seals this game away. It's going to be very tough for Complexity to come back unless they get a kickoff goal here.
Well, they move it downfield. If they score with time left, all hope is not lost. Trying to pass it over to Mognus, but just a little too wide. And the demo coming out will all but assuredly give G2 the game 2 victory here, and that is going to maybe? Oh, no, there's time left. All right. Something crazy. Something crazy.
I honestly don't think I've ever seen a 1-second goal, but hey, they're still in it. We'll see. They'll have to do. They will have to do something on the kickoff here.
Yes.
So we'll see. This is where a kickoff strategy has to come into play for Complexity.
And if you're G2, you just want to try to spike down into that ball, kill it. That's going to work too. And G2 go up 2-0 in the series, threatening to sweep Complexity in the first round.
And just another fantastic performance from GarrettG. You see 5 saves and 2 goals on 3 shots. So just all around fantastic performance from GarrettG. JKnaps also playing flawlessly. These guys are just doing amazing right now. They're not making mistakes. And we saw what mistakes cost you. Metsa, he had a mistake on that back, or on the, he thought it was going to bounce off the ceiling, and it didn't. It left his team wide open. They conceded a goal, and that was the difference maker in this game.
And it's tough for Complexity because you might be sitting at home thinking, why don't they attack the ball? Well, they don't have any boosts. G2 has just taken every single boost on the field, and starting this game off with a bang was off the kickoff 3 seconds in. Complexity was able to respond, but again, after that, all G2.
Yeah, Mognus, I think he's doing as much as he can for Complexity. He really needs Metsa to step up, and this is the play where the game shifted for them. Metsa on the misread, a great clear from JKnaps, put it on a platter for GarrettG to just finish off that goal, and then GarrettG, again, solo play from him in the corner, an overextension from Complexity, but with only 19 seconds left, you can't really blame them because they're trying to equalize. And then, again, a goal with 1 second left.
You could have a potential hype moment there, but usually that does not end in that way.
Yeah.
So for Complexity, it's just at the beginning of the game finding some way to grab the midfield. We talk so much about midfield control, how important it is in Rocket League, and it's especially important in 2s, and G2 is showing you why here. So for Complexity, it's just trying to win those boost challenges. If they can do that, get more boost in the tank, that could really be the difference that gets them back in the series.
Yeah, Complexity needs to take advantage of their opportunities. We even saw the 1v1 dribble chance go away with Complexity not getting a goal, and then Metsa with a few misreads. So we'll see if they can clean it up. They're not out of it just yet, but we might see another kickoff goal if GarrettG missed the hit.
Garrett missing it. He ends up getting back to it, beating Mognus to the ball. And now Met's going to try to clear it out, but again, the pressure from G2 early. Complexity going to have some room now. Mognus up high, going to stay on this, actually loses control. And Garrett and JKnaps are going to move it downfield again. GarrettG going to go up for his own pass, a misread and a whiff by Metsanauris. And G2 is going to keep possession of this ball and stay in the game. Now Garrett passing it out to JKnaps. JKnaps trying to read his own ball. It's a tough one. Can he get there? He ran out of boost. No luck for JKnaps on that, but G2 keeping control, looking for JKnaps and tries to pinch it off the post. It bounced, but G2 still with control.
And then another back pass as well. So G2, they are in sync right now, looking for one another, just continuing to keep Complexity on their back foot. But now a chance to respond. And Metsa again not reading that pass out from Mognus.
JKnaps tossing it out. Mognus shadowed him the whole way. And now Mognus with Metz on the wing, but he's immediately challenged by GarrettG. Metsanauris looking for an angle. There's just no window of opportunity for Complexity right now. And G2 in Complexity's half consistently. JKnaps rushing right in with GarrettG on his way out, and Metsanauris gonna try again from midfield. Looking up high, challenged and knocked away by GarrettG. Still in midfield, but JKnaps is already on top of it. Looking for the read. Does he get it? Doesn't get that touch, but GarrettG's right there.
Oh,
and a
Metsa.
good save by Metsanauris to keep the scoreline at 0.
That was an incredible save from Metsa coming off the back wall to get that. And now the ball
no!
is going to bounce right in for complexity. The defense holding strong. And then Mognus just tapping it over Garrett, and JKnaps out of position. Couldn't get back in time.
Yeah, JKnaps couldn't flip back in time. A great goal for complexity, a breather as they take the lead 2 minutes in. So the first 2 games had a quick goal in the first 5 seconds. This one, it took 2 minutes. And now G2 looking for a quick response as they've done every time. But Metsanauris here on the point. Gonna try to follow JKnaps, but he just gets a great clear here. Mognus tries to keep it away. JKnaps trying to zone out Mognus there to let Garrett have some room to come in. And he does challenge and kind of stint the assault here of complexity. And G2 out to the corner. Metsanauris, unfortunate touch on the ceiling for him. Could have really benefited from a booming clear for complexity here. They do have the lead right now, but you feel like with G2, they're gonna need more than one.
Yeah, G2, they have not been shut out. They've scored every goal so far, or every game so far. And we'll see if Garrett and JKnaps can start getting something going. The defense, though, from complexity has just been so good, especially that save from Metsa that set up that counterattack for their only goal in the game.
GarrettG now gonna move downfield, off the ceiling, finding JKnaps maybe, but JKnaps didn't have the angle. Garrett ends up winning again against Metsanauris, who was just out of boost on his way back to that ball. Garrett up high against the crossbar. JKnaps gonna stay back as Mognus was right there. Now JKnaps with about 7 boosts is gonna throw it over to Garrett. Garrett wins. Garrett looking, but picked away by Mets. Now JKnaps gonna go high. GarrettG tries to slam it in, cannot find it, and complexity still hanging on to this 1-goal lead, trying to stay alive in this series. Mets gets a wide touch on that ball and cannot get that 2-0 lead.
And that was another very good second touch from Garrett, because Mognus was waiting in the middle and had a great shot had Garrett not getting that second touch.
Mognus looking for Mets, but Mets not able to go up for it as Garrett had the read. Mognus moving downfield at this point. It's been working for them. They've had decent defense. They want to keep trying to kill
Good
time.
bump.
This is dangerous for Mets. He can't get there. GarrettG knocks him out of the way, and JKnaps makes it 1-1.
Just a fantastic bump here from Garrett. He touches it, races over, and gets a bump on Metsa, messing up his flip. JKnaps had an easy cleanup from that point. With under a minute left, G2 tie it up.
1 goal never enough to do it at this level in Rocket League, and G2 want to get advantage here and look at a 3-0 sweep into the second round of the upper bracket. GarrettG up high. Does he get this touch? He does, but it's just wide. JKnaps forced back, but again, solid pitch control keeps G2 in possession. JKnaps looking for Garrett, maybe, but Mets finds the touch. Garrett's still there. Mognus way off the ball allows Garrett to keep control. G2 might be seeing overtime for the first time in this series, and for the first time in the grand finals of the Universal Open. Knocks away the ball up high. Will JKnaps try to play it? He's just gonna play it safe. We're going to overtime.
And complexity, they qualified after 3 straight overtime games against Fnatic. Complexity in the past has had some pretty iconic overtime games, so we'll see if they come out on top here.
Oh, I thought he had it. It was just wide. The post again, complexity cannot seem to find a way around it. Now Garrett trying to set up JKnaps. JKnaps keeping it in play. Complexity looking for the clear, but Garrett is right there. Now Mognus.
And Mognus is forced to pick up small pads. He was completely out of boost there. So he's just going to retreat as G2 starts their counterattack.
Up high, JKnaps going to look for the shot, and then Mognus comes in, able to make the save. Off the ceiling, Mognus going to look for Mets. He gets it by 1, but it goes way over, and JKnaps able to tap it out to the side.
And that was such a good touch from JKnaps. It allowed him to keep possession and get that boost in the corner. The control from G2 just spectacular.
JKnaps, his positioning all series long has been solid, just knowing when to press and when to pull off. He has been exceptional at that in this series. It has kept G2 up in this series, and it has kept them in these games. Mognus, back to Mets, up high, Complexity stays in the series. You hear the let's go from Complexity, and they go to game 4.
And Mognus, you see utter control from him, stops the ball, passes it out to Metsa, and Metsa does not miss this time. We've seen Mognus continue to try to generate opportunities for Metsa. This time Metsa coming through, and they get the win in game 3.
Very solid from Complexity. They were able to hold on to a lead for so long in regulation, and then a couple of solid passing plays, catching G2 on the retreat, gets them the win. That was stellar play there by Complexity.
Yeah, and they needed that defense. The defense is what really helped Complexity out in this one, especially for Metsa. This was a game that Metsa stepped up. I thought Mognus was leading the charge for Complexity, and Metsa needed to step up. He did this game.
Absolutely, and still, I would like to see out of Complexity more pitch control. We saw it in overtime when everything got reset, and they were able to grab it at the beginning. And right here, things started out, and a big miss by GarrettG here allowed Complexity to take it, and they were able to score first. Took about 2 minutes, but they did get that first goal, and that was about all that we had for about 4 minutes.
Yeah, and very limited mistakes and a lot of shots. There were 10 shots from G2, but this bump play from Garrett, a heads-up play, but then in overtime, look at this control from Mognus. Just keeps the ball close to him. He knows Metsa is coming through the middle and puts that ball on a platter for him, and Metsa puts that shot in an unblockable spot. A fantastic play.
Yeah, Garrett's stepmother still cheering him on, getting excited, but still got some work to do. Garrett does to move on in here. I love the energy. The energy is great.
You can see the sigh right there.
Yeah.
It was probably her reaction to that overtime goal going in favor of Complexity. But that game, neck and neck. Complexity, though, they were forced to hold off that onslaught from G2. And also Metsa getting involved. The question is, can Metsa continue to stay involved in this game 4?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be careful if you're Complexity with these passing plays, as that can just lead to an immediate goal if you lose an unfortunate 50-50. But game number 4, Complexity looking to force a game number 5. Here in this is the first round of the upper bracket, James. It doesn't get better than this matchup. It's so good. So Metsanauris gonna start things off here for Complexity. Challenged against Garrett. G2 gonna look to move downfield off of JKnaps. An early demo on JKnaps, trying to relieve any kind of early pressure. It does force Garrett back, but Garrett actually stays in midfield. And a good challenge by Complexity will open things up. Mognus, can he find the shot? Just misses the ball, but maybe wanted to get behind it. Can't do it. JKnaps and GarrettG. That's an open net, and G2 takes the early lead.
And this was all due to the control from JKnaps here. Look at this. He gets the touch and then follows it up immediately, completely throwing off Metsanauris. Metsanauris bit that hook, line, and sinker, and that allowed GarrettG to just clean up that pass from JKnaps.
So G2 striking first, looking to close this series out. But Complexity, off the kickoff, want to threaten early. Mognus against Garrett, but it's over to JKnaps. Again, Garrett getting bumped by Mets there. A good challenge by Metsanauris, dangerous. And then shot by GarrettG, who goes up and gets it. And it's 2-0 for G2.
Yeah, G2 answering back right there. Mognus actually got that touch there, the miss from Metsa, so Metsa he's struggling a little bit out of the gate here in game number 4, and G2 just absolutely pouncing on him.
So G2 now, an early 2-goal lead. Complexity off the kickoff. Metsanauris just gonna take it towards the net, takes the shot off of JKnaps, takes advantage, and it's 2-1. They cut the lead in half.
And a perfect response from Metsa right here. He puts the ball in. JKnaps needed to get this ball into the corner. He just gave it right back to Metsa, who was expecting a touch into the corner, and Metsa cleans it up.
And now Complexity needed a quick response. They got it, but G2 is looking to strike right back off the crossbar. It bounces out, and Mognus is going to look to carry it away. JKnaps able to challenge him in midfield. Could have been dangerous for both Complexity and G2. on that play, but Metsanauris has control. Pops it up high, and a good touch by JKnaps. Back to Garrett, gets it out of G2's half. Now Mets. Headed towards the box, challenged by JKnaps. Mognus gonna keep it in play. Mets gonna follow up, play it slow, the change up, but it gets thrown away by GarrettG. Complexity starting to put on some pressure here.
A big win from JKnaps. And now Garrett trying to get the dunk. This could be good if JKnaps can get back in time.
Garrett actually gets back to it. Mognus going back to secure boost. And now taking a shot, it's just above the crossbar. And now Mognus just trying to keep JKnaps away from the ball here. He can't, but Mets gets it. And JKnaps giving away now for GarrettG. G2 looking to grab control, hold on to this lead. Metsanauris with little boost, trying to work his way downfield. Mognus now against the sidewall. Does he have another touch here? A little too far away. Garrett, JKnaps move down, forcing Mets up. He's able to make the save.
Another passing opportunity. JKnaps was just a little too far out of the play, needed to go back and get boost, but still possession retained from G2, and it's starting to look good on their attack, but that little bump right there, critical in allowing Mognus to get this ball out of their half.
He seems, I've been pretty physical all game. We've seen some demos, but almost finding an angle was JKnaps. Mognus challenged by GarrettG. GarrettG again, super aggressive on the offensive half of the field and just keeping this ball away from Complexity. Mognus has an angle here, trying to fight against GarrettG. He's got the control. He got it past JKnaps, not able to get it past Garrett. So now Garrett playing it slow against Metsanauris. JKnaps coming to follow up, that's big. Mognus trying to get this. He gets a great challenge, and now it's going to be a chase down. Who gets to it first? Mognus has the angle, takes the shot. Metsanauris follows up, but it doesn't matter. JKnaps makes the save, and G2 retains the lead.
And JKnaps with some heavy lifting right there, keeping this lead for G2. What a fantastic save from him.
JKnaps in midfield, staying with it, gets it under one. And now he's shadowing closely, gets it by Mognus. Mognus does catch it, pinching with Metsanauris. G2, less than a minute to go. If the score stands, they move on in the upper bracket. Metsanauris gonna take a shot downfield, forcing Garrett up, and he does make the save. Mognus. Back over to Mets, takes the shot. Garrett able to make another save. Garrett gonna take this one, 30 seconds left time. The worst enemy of Complexity right now. They gotta move downfield. Metsanauris trying to score a goal here. Garrett knocks it away again. Incredible on defense. You can't get it past this guy. JKnaps gonna clear it out downfield. 15 seconds left for Complexity to get it downfield. Metsanauris gonna take it. He's got Garrett to beat. Mognus now. He's the only one back to get it. He does. GarrettG again knocks it away. Metsanauris gonna flick it up one more time. Too high. Guess who's home? GarrettG. They can't keep it up, and that is gonna do it. G2 moving on in the upper bracket, sending Complexity down.
And that was a nail biter, but G2 are able to close it out. We'll have to see another look at that JKnaps save to keep that lead alive, but what a game to close it out. And a 7-11 dual force achievement unlocked by GarrettG. Who else other than GarrettG?
I mean, especially at the end of that game was almost a showcase of that. Just constant shots thrown to the side every single time. No matter where you threw the ball, Garrett was there to save it. Just great play by G2, and you see why they're a fan favorite in this Universal Open.
Absolutely. These guys, again, they're MVPs, and like literally MVPs, season 4 and season 5 MVPs. These guys are just so good. We saw it on defense, on offense, just getting the job done. We saw Complexity on the other hand. They struggled a little bit on both, but they still kept this series very close. And these guys, they're the real deal. We saw them get all the way to the grand finals last season. So even though they're in the lower bracket, they're not out of it yet. I can expect to see Complexity bounce back.
Yeah.
Well, we got a little insight here to Garrett's answer when we asked about the NA-EU rivalry. He was like, I really don't know if EU's that good. And, you know, we can take a look at Garrett's highlights here, the highlights from this whole last match, and you can really see where Garrett feels confident. He does not feel threatened by these EU teams.
This is just GarrettG. GarrettG is one of the best all-around players in Rocket League. He can beat you in every single phase of the game, and it was, again, showcased here. And we've been talking up GarrettG, but JKnaps, his teammate, also
his
showing that
as
he's
well.
an all-arounder too. And we talked to GarrettG and JKnaps yesterday, and they had said, you know, we believe that we work together really well because we believe we are two of the best all-around players in the game. So, you know, them together just work so well, and it was shown here.
Yeah, and there were very few defensive mistakes. I mean, look at this play from JKnaps. That almost surely, that's a goal about 90% of the time when you have a breakaway like that, a bounce where a player's ahead of you. JKnaps, you know, making that play, and he also had multiple fantastic plays on defense, like the one play where he baited Metsanauris into jumping for the ball, and he just boosted right after it and hit it over Metsa's head. So even though Garrett got a majority of the goals, this was a team effort from G2. They're looking good and just playing very precision Rocket League.
Guys, well, thanks for breaking it down for me. When we get back from this commercial break, we've got Larry with an interview for our winners. That's going to be G2 right after this.